All right, so let's get started with our recipe. First off, we're gonna heat up a cup and a half of whole milk to about 110 degrees. We don't want it scalding. We're going to add 4 teaspoons of yeast. And I'm also going to add 1 tablespoon of my already pre-measured sugar. This is just to kind of activate my yeast. So we're going to give this a mix and we're going to let this stand for about 5 minutes. And what we're looking for is for this, our milk to be foamy, our yeast to be alive. So now we can continue with our recipe without, messing up a ton of ingredients and then finding out your yeast is dead. So that way we make sure that everything is alive before we continue. I'm going to add the rest of my sugar to the recipe. I'm going to add 1 cup of pureed pumpkin. This is 100% pureed pumpkin. I'm also adding 1 whole egg to this recipe. All of my ingredients are room temperature, by the way. It's kind of important. I'm going to add a whole stick of room temperature butter and 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. You can leave this out if you don't like it. We're going to start our mixer and we're going to make sure all these ingredients kind of come together before we start adding our bread flour. For this recipe, I measured out 6 cups of bread flour and I ended up using 5 cups. So this is a process that takes a few minutes. So you got to take your time here and you got to add your flour gradually. What we're looking for is for a dough to form and for it to separate kind of from the sides and the bottom of our bowl. I just added 1 whole tablespoon of kosher salt. I kind of wait till I begin to add flour to then add my salt. Kind of safeguards my yeast from dying. We're going to continue to add bread flour as needed. Going to watch our dough, add your bread flour, let it all come together and get mixed. And we're looking for 1 solid ball of dough. This process is going to take a few minutes. So if you're in a rush, this is not particularly the best recipe to do. If you need this like in an hour, this is not the recipe. This takes some time. This takes me about 8 to 10 minutes to actually fully incorporate all the flour that I'm going to incorporate into the recipe before I'm able to move on to any other steps. So we already have here a dough forming. So now we're going to let it absorb all of that flour. We still have some stickiness, but mostly we're already forming a dough. So we're going to be mindful about the amount of bread flour that we continue to add to this recipe. As I said, I measured 6 cups and I ended up using 5. So as you can see, the dough is now coming away from the bowl, from the mixer, I'm so sorry. It's coming away from it, so it's forming into 1 solid dough. So I'm just adding just a bit of flour just to get it to where I want to. And we're just going to add flour and watch your dough. And at this point, I really do consider that I'm done adding flour because my dough is completely separated from the sides and the bottom of our bowl. So now I'm going to set a 8-minute timer and I'm going to let my mixer run on speed 2 for 8 minutes. Creating gluten. So once our 8 minutes have elapsed, we are going to turn off our machine. I'm going to take out my dough hook and I'm going to allow this to rest in a warm place for 1 hour. While that's resting, I'm going to take my garlic confit that I already previously made. The recipe is in another short. I'm going to add 1 whole stick of melted butter to it and make sure to mix it really well. This is going to be the filling for our bread. So we're going to make sure everything is nice and incorporated. This was garlic confit that I made with shallots and garlic, olive oil, and I roasted this in the oven till it was really tender and delicious. And now I'm going to stuff my bread with it. So I'm also adding an entire cup of Parmesan cheese that I'm going to grate right over the bowl. Take your time and make sure to grate it. I have my 1 cup of cheese, and I'm also going to chop some fresh parsley and add that as well. You can add any other ingredients if you wish. If you want to add some oregano, some red pepper flake, go right ahead. I'm going to give my mixture a really nice mix, and I'm going to set this aside so that we can start to fill our bread. It is so good. This will be good on anything. Garlic bread, pasta, anything. Now that our hour timer has elapsed, I'm going to deflate my dough and I'm going to start working with it. This dough is a bit stickier than my other doughs. It's on purpose. It's okay. So I'm going to deflate the dough and I'm going to remove it from the mixing bowl onto my work surface. And I'm going to make sure to dust some flour so that it's easier to work with, because we're going to take our rolling pin and we're going to stretch it out and kind of working and deflating that dough. It's nice and soft and supple. It's really nice. It's a very nice dough to work with. I'm going to dust it with some more flour, and then we're going to get to rolling. You're looking to roll this dough out fairly thin, so take your time here. It doesn't have to be perfect, just make sure it doesn't stick as you're stretching it out. So I run it across my work surface to get some of that flour on it, and I'm going to continue to stretch it out. Now that it's all rolled out, I'm going to kind of cut it into 6 equal pieces, or equal-ish. They don't have to be perfect, but you just want 6 pieces to work with. You're going to work with 2 at a time. So you're going to stretch out and make it a bit thinner, each piece. Stretch it out. And now we're going to take our garlic confit filling that we made, and we're going to add that. And we're going to fill each one of the pieces that we cut and stretched out. Now I'm going to roll this. This doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be like closed tightly. It's okay. All you want to do is roll it. You want 2 logs. Now move on to our second piece. We're going to take our rolling pin and stretch it out. We're going to fill it. And we're going to roll it. Perfect. Now we're going to turn them so that we can braid them. I'm not a perfect braider by any means, so just do the best you can. It will look gorgeous no matter what at the end. So we're gonna roll those. We're gonna braid them. And now from whichever end you decide, you're going to roll this inwards. Kind of tuck it into itself. Yep. Really nice. I'm going to take a parchment lined baking sheet and I'm going to put my pieces, my rolled pieces, onto the baking sheet. Once your 3 braids are done, you're going to let this rise for 30 minutes. Now they're puffy and 30 minutes have elapsed. And now we're going to brush this with an egg and milk wash. This is heavy cream and 1 egg. And I'm going to brush all over, coating as much as I can. And now I'm going to bake this. Once it is baked, like this, it is absolutely gorgeous. We're going to let it cool some, but while it's cooling, I'm going to take some butter and I'm going to brush, I'm using my hands here, but I'm trying to get the butter all over the top, make it nice and shiny. And now we're going to cut into one. Before I do, I'm going to grate some more Parmesan cheese right on top. Just, taking things over the top just because we can. And this, by the way, makes incredible grilled cheeses. Ask me how I know. Yeah, grate that cheese over the top, and now we're going to slice into this. It was still warm. It was so good. Oh my gosh. These went really fast. They are so good. You see those streaks of garlic confit just running through it. If you're into savory French toast, this is definitely some delicious bread for French toast. This is a wonderful recipe. I really, really hope you all enjoy it. It is so delicious. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.